Hey everyone, welcome back to John's Watch. Today I'm taking a look at a new game called Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. This game was released on Nintendo Switch on March 20th, 2025. Its regular price is $80 Canadian, or your regional equivalent, and it's developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. And I just want to say thank you very much to Nintendo for sending me a review code for this game. This is sort of the latest title in the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. This is the third title in the series, kind of. The very first game was just called Xenoblade Chronicles, then there was Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, and then after that was Xenoblade Chronicles X, which originally released on the Wii U back in 2013, I believe it was. 2015. And so this is, I guess you can look at it as like the 10-year anniversary edition of this game. 10 years later, it's now out on Nintendo Switch, a lot more accessible. It's had a fair few number of changes, like quality of life changes, just to make it really the definitive edition of the game. Now, I have not played any Xenoblade Chronicles games at all. I have not played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 9. But apparently, that's a joke, please don't get mad at me, but apparently you don't need to have played any other games in the series to play this one. I made sure to state right up front when I was offered a review code that I have no experience with these games, so let me know if you don't want me to review it. And they were totally fine with me still reviewing it, which is very nice of them. But yeah, like a little bit like Final Fantasy, I guess. They're all kind of standalone stories, so if you've never played a Xenoblade Chronicles game before, you're probably totally fine playing this one. Obviously, there is also a definitive edition of the first Xenoblade Chronicles game, which would probably be a better starting point, but you could totally start with this one and be absolutely fine. So what is Xenoblade Chronicles? It's a sci-fi action squad-based game, I guess, an RPG to an extent. It's set on the planet Mira. Basically, all of Earth was being attacked years ago, and everybody piled onto these big spaceships to get out of there, and a lot were attacked, and the one that our character was on was also attacked and ended up crash landing on this luckily habitable planet called Mira. And there's a lot of story in this game, so I'm really trying to very much give a very brief synopsis here, just so we can get into the review. The player character is awoken out of cryosleep by another character called Elma, and she is your companion throughout the whole game, and she has a lot more personality than the player character, so maybe it's better to think of the player character as her companion, and we're just following her around, because I don't know what I'm doing. I've just woken up from cryosleep. But Elma seems to know a lot, and she's very, very helpful, and helps you out, helps you get to grips with this planet. Your player character, of course, has amnesia, because why wouldn't he? That is a very handy plot crutch. So yeah, the player character joins up with Elma. They traverse back to basically where their ship had crash landed, which has sort of been transformed into their city on this planet, and the city's called New Los Angeles because it's named after the city that the ship took off from on Earth, which is kind of cool. But obviously, as this is an alien planet, even though it is habitable to people from Earth, there's all kinds of alien plant life and animal life on the planet, and some of it's friendly-ish, some of it's not friendly, and you can kill pretty much all of it if you want. And obviously, between where the player character wakes up and the city of New Los Angeles, you're gonna run into several alien monsters along the way, and Elma it's very good Elma was there because she teaches you the combat basics. Combat is very interesting. It's a combat style I have never played before. Basically, you have a ranged weapon and a melee weapon, and when you enter combat, basically you target an enemy, and when you pull out your weapon, you've entered combat. And the whole duration of combat, your character will be auto-attacking with the basic attack. Basically, if they've got their gun out, they'll just be shooting away the whole time. If they've got their knives out, they'll just be swinging away the whole time. And you can move the camera and move your character all the time. You are also able to select special skills called arts that let you do special attacks. One of my later ones was basically I would do like a cool slide underneath a monster and like shoot them with my guns the whole time. Pretty cool. I'm sure you'll see it in the video at some point. But that's just one of the examples of the arts that you can use. You also want to try and sync up with your allies. Throughout the battle, your allies will sometimes call out special attacks to do. Like if they've damaged a body part and like the enemy's been stunned for a moment, they'll say, right, now everybody use your melee attack. And then on your bar at the bottom, one of your melee arts will light up. And if you use that, you're able to get points towards triggering kind of like a Unity bonus sort of thing. You get this ring that pops up in the middle of the screen, and you have to press B at the right moment to get a morale bonus, and you do some more damage, heal your allies. I think you get a damage boost. If you've never seen these games, the combat probably looks absolutely insane and really confusing, and it kind of is. This game is quite confusing. There's a ton going on, but towards the end of my playtime, which we'll touch on in a moment, I was basically just I would get into combat, and then I would just leave my cursor in the middle of the screen, like between all my arts, and I basically just watch the arts to see if any of them would glow like they were needed. And as soon as they glowed, I would use them, and then back off and switch to my guns. Just kind of ignored my health, hoped I didn't die. Literally just looked for ways to maximize the Unity attacks and just keep an eye on what buttons I needed to be hitting. And that seemed to work okay, but yeah, it is pretty decently confusing combat. So I think from starting the game until getting to the city, it took me about an hour to do that. And then the next, and I'm not joking, the next 50 straight minutes was just cutscenes and walking between cutscenes. And I was just blown away by how heavy-handed the cutscenes and plot and story was in this game. And like I said, I have no experience with this game, or with this franchise at all. Towards the end of that 50 minutes, probably about like 40 minutes through, I just started skipping cutscenes because I couldn't take it anymore. I liked the combat. I don't love the combat, but yeah, after like 20 minutes of straight cutscenes, I was ready to get back to some combat. And it didn't come for another half hour, and that was even with skipping some cutscenes. There's far too much story and far too many cutscenes in this game. Luckily, if you don't care about the story, you pretty much can just skip all of them, and you're not really going to miss out on anything. Your quests and missions are decently self-explanatory, and if you press in the right stick at any time during a mission, it'll bring up a little guidance thing in the bottom right that'll tell you like what you're supposed to do on this step of the mission. Very helpful if you, for some reason, had decided to skip every single cutscene because they were making you go slowly insane. You've also got a waypoint marker, so yeah, it's pretty difficult to get completely lost on a mission if you do skip everything. I think if you're like me and getting fed up with the story, yeah, you can absolutely just skip everything and you'd be totally okay. The cutscenes aren't the only thing that there are far too many of. There are so many tutorial pop-ups, and I might as well say I played for I think it was about 4.5 hours altogether, and even at the very end of that, basically I finished the prologue and the first 3 chapters, and then just ran about in the open world a little bit after that, just to get some extra footage. And yeah, even after finishing the 3rd chapter, I was still being bombarded by tutorial pop-ups. There's a really good example on screen right now, and this was like right at the end of my playtime. And it was just tutorial after tutorial after tutorial, and most of the tutorials were multiple pages, and there were multiple tutorials at once. It's crazy. So heavy-handed. I mean, yeah, it's a complicated game. I just feel like they could have spaced out some of these tutorials a bit more. I don't know. After most combat encounters, you get item drops, and these are usually crafting materials, but sometimes, or I mean, I'm assuming they're crafting materials. I didn't actually use any of them. Maybe they're just treasure or junk that you sell for money. But you get a bunch of this material stuff. But you also have a chance of getting new gear for your character, which is quite cool. And you can change your main character's gear, and you can also change anybody else's in your squad's gear, which is quite nice. And it's very self-explanatory. Basically, you look for a higher number as you're changing your gear. But to make it even simpler, you can literally just hold down left stick and it'll auto-equip the best gear for every character. Love that. Always a big fan of games adding that. You also get ability points, which you can use to upgrade your arts, and that's pretty self-explanatory too. Your character also has a class, and when they reach level 10 in that class, they can move on to the next one. So basically you start off as, I think it was Drifter, and when you reach level 10, you've got a choice of 3 different classes. And I reached level 10, don't know, probably about halfway through my playtime, and I just chose, I was looking at the 3 options, and one of them was like, choose this one if you want to do the most damage. I was like, yes, that's me. I don't want to talk too much about the story, but partially because I skipped some of it, of course. But there was this one very funny moment that I felt like I had to bring up. Basically, the organization in charge is called Blade, Builders of the Legacy After the Destruction of Earth. And basically they're the ones who rescued you. Elma is part of Blade, everyone on your team is part of Blade. And after you do a couple of early missions, you go back and somebody high up in Blade is there to talk to you. And they're basically like, would you like to join Blade? We won't pressure you into doing it or anything, but it would be great if you wanted to join us. We're always needing more people. You know, this is a big planet. We haven't explored too much of it. We always need help. And you are actually given the option to accept or refuse. And I was like, okay, well, I'll refuse and see what happens. And the guy's like, well, we wouldn't want to coerce you, but could you rethink on it? And then if you refuse again, he starts guilt tripping you, and then it's literally impossible to refuse. And I just thought that was such a weird story thing to do, for this character to specifically say, we wouldn't want to coerce you to join, and then they'd literally just coerce you to join. It was very strange. I was expecting it to do like a game over or something if you refused. But yeah, it was very weird that they were like, yeah, we wouldn't want to coerce you, and then they just coerce you. So yeah, this game isn't really for me. Sci-fi is not really my thing. I didn't mind the combat, but I didn't love it either, and obviously the story didn't do it for me because I was so fed up with it quite early on. So yeah, I'm not gonna play any more of it, but I didn't hate my time with it. It's just not something that I want to play any more of right now, or just personally. I do want to mention performance and graphics though. For a Switch game, this looks very good. I know that's not very high praise because the Switch is not a strong console, but this is quite a dense world, and with pretty decent graphics, honestly. And the performance is really good. It's locked to 30 FPS, of course, but I analyzed just a little bit of footage because I didn't want to go super in-depth on performance on this one. And yeah, it stayed at 30 most of the time. There were a couple of tiny drops when moving around in the city, or during some particularly, flashy parts of combat. for the most part, yeah, it does stay at 30 FPS, which I thought was really impressive because it is actually a good-looking game for the Switch. And I'm sure the title of the video hints at this, but yeah, this seems like the perfect game if you're interested in it to wait for the Switch 2. This will theoretically be backwards compatible with the Switch 2, and there was even an article a couple of days ago, at the time of recording, which says that this game has a hidden 60 FPS option, which means this game is primed and ready for the Switch 2 release, where you'll be able to play it at the very least at 1080p 60 FPS, maybe even higher. And yeah, I don't really know why this game came out now. I guess maybe it's just for the 10-year anniversary. That would kind of makes sense. But yeah, this game would be perfect on Switch 2. You know, it's a Wii U game that's been updated a bit. But yeah, this should run really well on the Switch 2. And you'll have nicer graphics and better performance. The 30 FPS, I cannot play games at 30 FPS. It is just horrible for me. But yeah, I do think if you're interested in this game, you could pick it up whenever. Because yeah, theoretically, you should be able to buy this on your Switch, and the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible with that version. You could be able to play the same version. I don't really see any reason to play this right now when you could wait, what, 6 months, 6 to 9 months probably for the Switch 2 and play it on there. That's what I would be doing if I had any interest in this game. I don't think there's any reason in spoiling this game with a 30 FPS mode. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you, but yeah, I think this is a great game to wait for the Switch 2. There you go, that was a look at Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Thank you guys very much for watching, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!